Hello, welcome to Last 10th. I'm Nick. Today we're going to talk about using the whole track and how much time that's worth. And by the way, it's more than you think. We will also talk about the inside versus outside line, which is faster, and when you should use each. So, let's go. We've all been taught to use the full track width as much as possible, but why is that? The reason is a larger corner radius allows for faster speed of travel. In a corner, you can maximize the radius by using the full width of the track. Let's take a 90-degree corner with a radius of 100 meters and a track width of 12 meters. If a car can maintain 1 G, it can drive down the middle with a maximum speed of 113 kilometers per hour, and it will take 5.02 seconds to complete that corner. The same car driving all the way on the inside can only do it at 110 kilometers per hour because the radius is smaller. But it will do it in 4.89 seconds because of the shorter distance it travels. While no one is ever going to drive this way, what's important to understand here is that the further inside you are, the faster you will complete the corner. Speed is not the most important factor. Time is. And that's why looking at your speedometer to compare entry and exit speeds can sometimes lead to false conclusions. Now, the racing line with the largest radius at a constant speed is one that fully utilizes the track width, which, as you know, goes from the outside to the inside back to the outside. Through some math wizardry, we determined that this line has a radius of 129 meters. And that same car can take this line at 128 kilometers per hour, and it'll complete this corner in 5.70 seconds. Well, that's longer than the previous examples, you say, and that's correct. The reason is this line extends the corner to an earlier starting point and also to a later ending point. If we start at the same place and have the same car run along the inside of the track only, it will take it 6.47 seconds to complete it at 110 kilometers per hour. But this isn't a reasonable comparison because, as we know, no one will drive along the inside of the track like that. So let's look at this. What happens if you try to use the largest radius possible, but leaving out half a car width on the outside and the inside? Because the track is effectively narrower, the radius will also be smaller, and thus the car cannot go as fast. In fact, it will take the same car 5.89 seconds to complete this corner, almost 2/10 slower. If you miss the track limits by a tire width on the outside and inside, it will take 5.78 seconds to complete the corner. You are only losing almost 1/10, but if you do it for 10 corners, you're going to be down a second. With this, we can start looking at the inside versus outside lines. The inside line is basically equivalent of you using all of the inside, but leaving more than a car width on the outside. And the opposite is true for the outside line. The same corner and the same car, the inside line takes 5.90 seconds to complete, while the outside line takes 5.95 seconds to complete. That's over 2/10 slower than using the full track, and that's how much slower you are when you're battling another driver. Battle for a handful of corners and you've lost a second to the field. Also, missing the outside and inside edge of the track by half a car width is almost the equivalent of taking the corner too wide. And if that's what you're doing, you need to work on that as soon as possible. Another observation here is that the inside line will complete the corner faster, which is why typically you want to be on the inside. But here's the catch. In this case, the inside car can only go 124 kilometers per hour. But the outside car can take the outside line at 125 kilometers per hour. This means that the outside car will be coming out of the corner faster and going down the next straight faster. Whether that's a benefit comes down to a lot of things, but one of which is how long that straight will be. By now, you must be thinking, well, no one drives through a corner with constant speed and radius like that. And that's true, but we can still determine a few deductions, and this is what we've learned. 1. The inside is generally going to be faster. 2. Leaving a tiny bit of track unused can cost you a lot more time than you realize. And 3. You want to keep your radius and speed as high as possible. So if you make a mistake and you're going to miss the apex, instead of overslowing and wrestling the car to the apex, keep your speed and radius high while staying within the track limits. What else can we learn about different corners? The smaller the corner radius, the more time you will lose. So you really need to fully use the track in slow corners. The shorter the corner, the more time you will lose. So not using the full track in corners like kinks will cost you a lot more time than in corners like sweepers. The narrower the track, the more time you will lose. Using the full track should be a bigger focus at narrow tracks. If you want to work on using more of the track, this is what you can do. Pick a corner you're familiar with, ideally a level corner with little to no camber change. You want to choose corners that have hard track limits, such as grass. This is so that there's immediate feedback at the moment you exceed track limits. And what you want to do is get used to driving right up to the grass at about 5/10 pace. You should focus on building visual familiarity with what the track limit looks like in reference to your cockpit. You can even drive past the track limits so you know you are over or at the edge. And what you want to do after that is review your practice in Chase Cam and see how much or little room you left. In real life, you can place a camera in the view of the edge of the car to see how close they are to the track limits. Once you're as close as you can get, increase the pace to 6 or 7/10 and repeat it until you are at race pace and eventually qualifying or time trial pace. Then you want to repeat this practice at different corners. But here's a word of warning. During a race, you got to leave some margin of safety. A small mistake can lead to large consequences if you're that close to the edge. So I bet you didn't know that you could be losing a full second or more simply by missing the edge of the track by just a tire width. I didn't either. Next time you practice, think about which corners are particularly costly when not fully utilizing the track and go through the practice exercise I gave you to maximize track usage. That's enough from me today. In the meantime, keep sending it, and if you do send it, make sure you complete the pass now that you know how much time going too wide could cost you. I'll see you next time.